In this video, I'm going to show you how to code using the optical sensor, which is going to be in testbed exercise 4. So you will find the optical sensor in the gray cabinet. It looks like this black box right here. If you look, it has some black letters right here on the side that says optical sensor. It's very difficult to find, or see, I should say. But when you find it, it does say optical sensor on it. That's what you're looking for. Do not keep these on your test bed. I do not have enough for everybody. We have to share these with the other classes, and there's not even enough for one entire class in that bucket. So we're going to have to share them with everybody. So you can attach it to your build plate if you need to. I just set one of these tabs right here under the edge of my build plate just so it wasn't laying around loose, because if it turns over, that can mess up the coding, because we're going to make the motor stop and start based on whether it finds an object or not. And so if in the middle of your code this thing turns upside down and it detects the table, it's going to mess up the code. So that's why I wanted to make sure mine was facing straight up. So I set it like this on my table, and then I put the edge of my build plate over one of these. You can use a screw if you want to attach it to your build plate, but you're going to have to take it off at the end of class because other people need to use them. All right, so first we need to see what is exercise 4 tell us to do. You can find testbed exercise 4 here in Canvas. Click either on modules or assignments, and you will find right here testbed exercise 4. So when we read testbed exercise 4, it says, when the optical sensor detects your hand, motor, that should say motor 1, motor 1 starts. Motor 1 starts and runs at 80% velocity, and the LED turns on. When the bump switch is pressed, motor 1 stops, and I'm going to put a comma there, and motor 2 starts running at 70% velocity. When the optical sensor detects your hand, motor 2 stops, and the LED turns off. Okay, now that I've proofread this, I'm going to go ahead and save it. Okay, so the first thing that's going to happen, when the optical sensor detects your hand, motor 1 starts. So we need to figure out how are we going to code the optical sensor using our VEX V5 software. So go ahead and open up your software. And the first thing we need to do is tell it that we have an optical sensor. Now, I've already told it that I have 2 motors and that I have a bump switch. If you don't know how to do this, you'll need to go back and review how to add motors. That's in video 1, or testbed exercise 1, and how to add the bump switches in testbed exercise 2 video. All right, so here's how you're going to add the optical sensor. Click Add a Device. You want this one that says Optical. I plugged mine into port 3, and then done. So now I have an optical sensor. Okay, all the optical sensor commands are here in the Sensing section. You'll find this category, Optical Sensing, and that's where you'll find all the commands that we need. Okay, there's a lot of cool things the optical sensor can do. In a later video, I'll show you how to use the color mode, and you can make the robot do different things based on which color it sees. For right now, we're just going to do whether the robot finds an object or not. But there's a few things we need to do in order to set up the optical sensor before the actual code runs. So the first thing we want to do is grab this one right here. And we do not want this to be in color mode because it's not looking for a certain color. We want it to be in gesture mode. Okay, whenever you use the optical sensor, there's a little light on the top of it, an LED light, and we always want to turn that on because it will help the sensor see what it needs to see accurately. Sometimes there's just not enough light in the classroom itself, and that can throw things off. So we want to make sure we turn the light of the sensor on. And then I always set my light power to 100%, so I'm going to go ahead and change that one to 100. So when we first start the code, it's going to set the sensor to gesture mode, and it's going to turn the light on at 100%. All right, so now we need to make the robot, when the optical sensor detects your hand. So we need to make the robot wait until it sees your hand. Okay, the way we do that is we're going to go to Control and find Wait Until. Go to Sensing. The optical sensor is right here. We want this one. Optical sensor found an object. Okay, later on we'll learn how to do the color. Right now we want found an object. Okay, what do we want to happen once the optical sensor finds an object? We want to start motor 1. And I don't remember the percent that I put. 80%, and the LED turns on. So you should already know how to do that part. We're going to set the velocity here to 80%. We're going to turn the LED on, which was... Oh, I forgot to tell it I have an LED. That's why it's not showing up. Go in here. Add the LED light. Mine's plugged into C. And now we should be able to set the LED on. Okay. So when the optical sensor detects your hand, motor 1 starts and runs at 80% velocity, and the LED turns on. When the bump switch is pressed, motor 1 stops, and motor 2 starts at 70% velocity. So we already know how to make it wait for the bump switch. Right here. Wait till bumper is pressed. Stop. Okay, there's going to be more code that you're going to have to put in here. This is only about half of it. I'm not going to give you the rest of the answer. I'm just showing you how to get started here. So we're going to turn on, or we're going to set the optical sensor to gesture mode. We're going to turn the light on at 100%. The robot's going to wait till the optical sensor finds an object, which I'm just going to use my hand. It'll start spinning the motor at 80% and turn the LED on. And then it's going to keep going until the bumper was pressed, and that will cause motor 1 to stop. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and download my program. I'm going to run it. Well, it's not doing anything. What's happening? Well, that's because the optical sensor hasn't found an object yet. So what I'm going to do is wave my hand over the optical sensor. You don't have to put it right on top of the sensor. I mean, you can. It's not going to hurt it. But as long as you're within like 3 or 4 inches, it should work. So when I pass my hand over the top of the optical sensor, you can probably hear the motors running right now. I'm going to press the bump switch, and boom, it stopped. All right. So you're going to have to finish the rest of the code on your own. And then when you're done, raise your hand and let me know that you need to be graded.